Court will come to order. It is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and the Kerr County Court is now in session. If you would, please rise for the prayer and the pledge, which I will lead. Pray with me. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for all of our many blessings, and especially the opportunity to live here in the Texas Hill Country. We ask that you be present in our proceedings today and renew our spirits, that we may rededicate ourselves to serve the people. And we ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, the first thing I ask you to do is turn off your phones, which I did not bring mine in, so I can't even turn it off. But it's in the other room, so that it does not disturb the proceedings. And with that, we move on to the first item on each of our regular Commissioners Court meetings, and that is public input. This is an important part of our agenda. This is our opportunity to listen to you, tell us what you think we need to hear. It is not an opportunity that allows us to tell you what we think or how we respond to your comments. We ask that you identify yourself at the podium and limit your remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Do we have any public input today? And if it's an agenda item, we ask that you save your remarks for the agenda item, when the agenda item is called. No remarks? Then we'll move on to commissioners' comments. We have new commissioners today. This is the second meeting that you've been to, but want to recognize you both. And this is the opportunity that you have to share comments with the public with regard to matters that are going on in your precinct or matters of concern. And so we'll start with Tom Jones.
You bet. Not a whole lot going on. We had a little bit of rain on Friday, heavy winds, and so we were not able to lift the burn ban. I didn't feel like for us at that point. We'll look at that again later. But it's a pleasure to be here. Look forward to the time to come to serve and enjoy this.
And for those of you that don't know, the system that we have in Kerr County is each commissioner for each precinct decides when the burn ban is on and when it's lifted. And what Tom's commenting on is he did not lift his burn ban. Precinct 2.
Well, Precinct 2 did lift the burn ban last week based on the rain that we got, but I will say it's quickly drying out, so it's unlikely that the burn ban will be lifted for much longer. I just wanted to comment. I had the great pleasure of announcing for the Market Goats last week at the stock show. The kids did great, and it was an awful lot of fun, and I understand it was a very remarkable success. The weather wasn't so great for that cowboy breakfast that kicked the whole thing off, but it didn't seem to affect it didn't seem to affect our remarkable cow chip champion who demonstrated the benefit of regular practice.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, otherwise, look, I've been continuing to work with the Kendall County Commissioners to progress the formation of the 391 Sub-Regional Planning Commission to help mitigate the potential risk and environmental impact associated with lithium BESS facilities in Kerr and Kendall counties. Myself and Commissioner Holt attended their special Commissioners Court meeting last week where they were discussing our interlocal agreement and bylaws that we sent to them formally. And I believe that they will, this is on their agenda for tomorrow. They're going to further discuss and hopefully approve those documents with no doubt a few changes for our consideration. And that'll take place tomorrow in the Kendall County Commissioners Court. But, I think it's imperative that we move as quickly as we can, keeping in mind that developers are rushing to secure that 30 to 70% tax incentive made available through the Inflation Reduction Act before the new administration can curtail that ridiculous so-called green funding that's anything but green. And the last thing, not sure if the chair of the Republican Party was going to announce it, but there is a inauguration party, I believe, on the 20th, the evening of the 20th. From 5:30 to 9 p.m. at the, they're in 5 Points at the former Wells Fargo building, I guess in the lobby. So that should be a good event. That's all I got.
Very good. Precinct 3.
Well, it is an honor to be up here in front of everyone and serving. And I want to just give a couple thanks to those folks that got us up here. the assumption was really professionally well done, Judge, and for the court, Nadine, that put that together. I want to thank y'all. I felt very welcomed stepping into this position. We had business cards made, we had names put on doors, we have plaques that was done. All that was done without us asking. And that makes you feel very good as a commissioner. And I want to thank Jody specifically for doing a lot of that, HR for coming together and making it easier, Corey in the back for IT, getting us a phone, a leash, and a computer. Yes, and also HR and Sylvia, who was very good to get us all adjusted and ready to work. Probably, perhaps, one of the easiest assumptions of office, that I've done. It's actually my first assumption of office, but it felt very familiar, standing up with my right hand, swearing to the flag. Just first time with a Bible on my left. So look forward to that service. 2025 is going to be a great year for many of us. We're so excited for many reasons, not just to stand before you as a servant of the court, but also with our elections that happen nationally as well. Look forward to working hard, having fun, and being safe. That is my motto. You will hear that often. The special meeting we attended last week, just to catch up on what's happened. The special meeting we did attend, I'm happy to say that Ken Dole did vote to be a part, 3-2 vote to be a part of an interlocal. Now they have to juggle the bylaws. That's not easy. We look forward to seeing that back. In the future, we have some training to do, and that's required within the first 90 days. We will do that training with the TAC group, the Texas Association of Counties. And then also I have a Capitol visit where they've invited a lot of the commissioners to. I will attend that at the end of the month. Last 2 weeks, stock show was fun. Sorry to lose against Tom with the throwing. I did practice. I did lose. But it was nice to be a part of that stock show. Thank you. And on Saturday as well, to see folks really put out some money for some of those animals. Just great to see that good attendance. I got 1.5 inches of rain. It's still muddy out there. I feel confident, but the burn ban will be re-examined. I did that after consulting with 2 different fire chiefs and walking around in mud for a while. But we did have a lot of requests, folks, just to let you know. That's why we did that. And we'll look at that in the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, great. We received 8/10 at my house, an inch here at the courthouse. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to former Commissioner Guy Overby with Edwards Jones. He provided me with a rain gauge back behind where we park, so y'all can check it. And he did that 6 years ago, and finally it froze or cracked, and he gave me a brand new one. So there's one out there, and we appreciate Guy for doing that. The stock show was great last week. I announced the swine show and was out there from 9 to 4 doing that. And a lot of good kids, smiling faces, and it makes you feel good. One thing, since it's all fresh on everybody's mind that worked it, you other commissioners, was it hard to read? The lighting's terrible in there. That's something that we're probably going to look at. The judges have been complaining forever and what have you, but it's just dim. And so that's something that's going to crop up before you know it. This week, the grandstand show is here in Kerr County. The Ag Mech show and the swine show, they arrived today. If you've never been out there and seen the Ag Mech show, go tomorrow. It's neat. See what these kids from across the state build. Teenagers, the quality of work that they're judged on, and you'll see some stuff you never would have dreamed you'd see that high school kids are putting together. We have a cutting torch contest. I'm in charge of that. I'll be going after Commissioner's Court to get the medal and the gases for that contest. It'll start about 9, and it's a tournament style. Kids are a random draw. They go head to head, and they cut a piece of metal, and the first one to drop to the floor wins. The other one's out, and they keep going until we finally get a champion and reserve champion of that contest. And it's fun. It's a good spectator sport. So come out there. That'll start about 9. The judging for the Ag Mech contest, the show, the exhibits will start about 8, but it'll go throughout the day. And the awards are usually at 4 o'clock. So, sir?
At the Ag Barn?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Out at the
Hill Country
Event
Youth
Center.
Event Center.
Yes, sir. And I attended the sale on Saturday. It looks like the kids did well. I understand, I didn't stay for the whole thing, but it's really streamlined. It started around noon and it was through at 6 o'clock. It used to be 9 or 10 o'clock back in the old days. So it's all well, good. All right, Judge, that's all I got.
Very good. For those of you that haven't, do not understand, last week was the stock show. And in Kerr County, that is a big deal. I will tell you, my first year on the school board, many years ago, we talked about whether to celebrate Martin Luther King Day or the stock show day as a day off from school. And it was unanimous that we do the stock show, just for what it's worth. We do celebrate the Martin Luther King Day now by federal holiday. The cowboy breakfast I want to mention briefly, mainly because Tom Jones caught me as I stumbled going up a rickety ladder on that trailer, which I'm not going to do again. Just not going to do it. But it was a good turnout, and it's a 4-H sponsored event. And for those of you that don't know, I am the juvenile judge for Kerr County, and I am proud to tell you that I have never had, not one, 4-H or FFA kid in my courtroom. What they do well. It was a cold morning. It was about 24 degrees, which made it cold, but it was colder because there was about a 10-mile-an-hour wind whipping across that flag that had everybody with their hands in their pockets or wherever they could put them. But it was a great event. And so with that, we'll move on to the consideration agenda. And that item 1.1 is consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on a request from the leadership Kerr County, Class 39, to use Flat Rock Park from Thursday, April the 17th through Sunday, April the 20th, for the 2025 Easter Fest event. And this is Dalton Rice, our Kerrville City Manager. And who do you have with you, Dalton?
I'm Amber Longenbaugh.
Okay.
One of y'all. Judge, Commissioners, Dalton Rice, 101 River Hill. I'm here on behalf of Leadership Kerr County, not as the city. Amber's also with part of this class, and we are looking to kick off Easter Fest in April from the 17th through the 20th. Most of that is going to be for setup and cleanup. They've had it a couple years before, but there's a barbecue cook-off and a car show, and so some of the barbecue cook-off folks are going to be coming in on that Thursday, potential Friday. And then, of course, looking at the alcohol piece as well. But, yep, Easter Fest has been going on for a long time, so we appreciate y'all's consideration in this.
Okay, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve as read.
Motion's from Commissioner Jones and a second from Commissioner Holt. That is their second motion and second, by the way, since they did the first one on the day they were sworn in. Any discussion?
Just a question for you, Dalton.
Yes, sir.
The use of Flat Rock Park, that won't impede the public's access to the dog park, will it?
I do not think so, no, sir.
Yeah, that's always important to know.
And there's going to be maps, and we'll have it all briefed out, and so we have a really good layout of what that's going to look like.
Okay.
Dalton, any projections on attendance for this?
That is a
What have
great
you seen
question. They've been
historically?
doing this for a long time. I don't know. I kind of just took this piece upon myself. I don't know what the logistics are going to look like, but I do believe it's a pretty good turnout each year.
All right.
It's a good crowd.
And because it's through,
It's like roughly 600 people, I think.
yeah, 600, maybe no more than 1,000. This is always set up by Leadership Kerr County. We're in Class 39, and so this has been going on for a while, and it's a great opportunity to give back to some of the local nonprofits, and so proceeds that go beyond what we make go back to either Chamber of Commerce or to the nonprofits for charitable contributions.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Move on to the second item, which is 1.2. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on a request to authorize the county judge to prepare a letter approving the sale of alcohol at Easter Fest being held at Flat Rock Park, April 19, 2025. Letter to be sent to the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. Mr. Rice.
Appreciate it again. Thank you. So there will be alcohol sales at here. It is restricted. We will have wristbands and everything for those that are 21 and over. We will file with the TABC for the temporary permit for that location. Again, this has been done for a while, and looking forward to y'all's approval.
Need a motion
I move for approval.
and a second.
I'll-
signed up to speak on this
Oh.
before you take a vote, if it's okay.
Okay. If you would, just step aside there, Dr.
Absolutely.
Ms. Gaines?
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Nikki Keynes, and might seem odd that someone is opposing this measure, but I am. Trends from society seem to go that we diminish our holidays, especially our holy days like Easter. And I would like to know personally why, for a public and a family-oriented festival, why alcohol is needed to be brought to this. I looked at promotions from past Easter Fest, and nothing was mentioned about alcohol. So I'm wondering if this is simply a consumerism, make some money deal, or if we are just continuing down the trend of not actually celebrating the resurrection of Jesus. And maybe the city manager representing the city can answer that, please.
Thank you, Ms. Gaines.
Thank you.
I can tell you that I've been in this position for 6 years, and we've done this every year. So that has been a tradition.
Alcohol has been?
For 6 years I've been on the court, I've approved it.
Judge, Commissioners, again, Dalton Rice, I'm not on behalf of the city, here, I'm on behalf of leadership Kerr County for this class. I just happen to be the representative coming up here and speaking on it. I can't speak for everybody's, religious beliefs and celebratory, measures and everything. I know alcohol has been a big part of this before. The alcohol sales do contribute to a large portion of the money that goes to the nonprofits and everything. And I know it's happened before. We will have security and safety measures in place. I think actually Amber's over the security kind of logistics of Easter Fest. And so with that, again, we would look for y'all's approval. Thank you.
Question for you, Dalton.
Yes, sir.
Are we talking about beer and wine maybe, or are we talking about
I
hard
believe
liquor?
Just beer.
Just beer.
Just beer.
Just beer.
Just beer. Yes, sir.
And I have reached out to the Kerr County Sheriff's Office and
Yep.
been approved for extra duty for law enforcement to be present on the scene. Depending on how many people we project to be there, there will be adequate law enforcement presence.
Yeah. Well, being a good Lutheran, I'm okay with drinking beer, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at, question for you too. I'm
Yes, sir.
also kind of in that court as well as a Catholic, but, I have, when I saw alcohol and Easter, I was just trying to figure out how they fit together, and I appreciate
They
you coming
don't.
up. Yeah, but it's written right next to each other in
Yeah.
the thing, so I did have concern about that. And trust me, I've done my time in the past too, and had a good time, but, are there any sunrise services? Is there anything in the spirit of Easter being done that people can partake in as well, if they don't wanna?
Not through Leadership Kerr County
barbecue?
that I know of. Leadership Kerr County is not going to do that. I can't speak entirely for it. I don't know what it's been, historically. I don't think that's been the case. Ideally, we would probably exercise caution in doing that because there are so many different, religions and so many different opportunities out there. I'm sure that if somebody wanted to volunteer or a group wanted to, do something out there, I don't think there would be any issues whatsoever with that. But
The
as
reason
far
I'm
as
mentioning
Leadership
that
Kerr
is I
County
hope
goes,
that our local churches do find an opportunity to remember the reason for the season and to come out there. I know there's plenty of opportunities along the river with those things for sunrise services, but I keep that in mind first for Easter.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And there's usually something up at Empty Cross as well. All the
Well,
churches have something.
I may be the only, well, I'm not the only Baptist. I am a Baptist, and I don't associate alcohol in Easter. I can't, it's not in me to do that. But I certainly understand and appreciate everybody else's positions for what they do. I'm not anti-alcohol. Those two just don't,
Just like anything, moderation, appropriate,
Well,
certainly.
as far as sunrise, as far as sunrise
Communion
services, there's nearly
uses
always a
alcohol.
sunrise service at Mill Ranch.
It was one.
Mo
Know
Ranch.
that,
yes,
yeah.
there is.
Thank you, Judge.
And it's very moving and very cold service.
Yeah, it's up on the hill.
Yeah, I know, very cold. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any,
Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And 4-1 vote. Moving on, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Moving on to item 1.3, which is the 9:15 item, and we've exceeded that. So that, this is a presentation from the Texas Forest Service concerning wildlife mitigation services for Kerr County residents living in the wildland-urban interface and the pass-through grant process for residents to reduce mechanical wildfire fuels. Mr. Thomas.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. So in light of what you've probably seen in California, the destruction of the fires there, we have two programs that are coming to Kerr County that are both sponsored by the Texas Forest Service. And I've got James Ward here who is going to kind of fill you all in on what those programs are. And if y'all have any questions for him, go right ahead. James? I'll do that in a second.
Well, good morning. I appreciate the time the court is allowing us to present some information to you on what Texas A&M Forest Service is going to be doing here in Kerr County over the next year or so. First of all, I want to say that I'm not here to make a sales pitch, but I want to raise awareness. As you probably know, the Texas Hill Country counties are susceptible to wildfire, and more so with the drought. And so I want to raise that awareness through these things that we're doing, and I also want to make people aware that the Texas Forest Service is here to serve the people. And we do not charge anything for our services. And so I'll go through what some of those are right now. The first thing that Dub had mentioned that we want to do here is a wildfire prevention and mitigation strategy workshop. It's held at the Hill Country Youth Event Center, and it will be on January 23rd. There'll be two sessions. First session is from 10 until 11:30. The second session is from 1:30 until 3. The sessions will be geared toward the residents living in the wildland-urban interface, which is the area where people with their homes, structures, barns, outhouses, whatever, come in contact and interface with wildland native vegetation. And there's a lot of that here around Kerr County. The topics that we will present at the workshop, home and structure ignition zones. We'll look at the structures from the roof to the foundation, establishing a defensible space around these structures, which is critical to limiting fire exposure. The size will vary based on the number of structures, the size of the structures, and how they're located in proximity with their neighboring properties. The third thing is to describe to the people at the workshop how a community assessment procedure works. It can be used to build a county-wide community wildfire protection plan, which is one of the things that we're doing here, or to establish a Firewise USA community. And there's one existing right now in Kerr County, and we'd like to see more of them established. Now here's the good part. We're also going to present information on grant money. And it's a mechanical wildfire fuel reduction grant. It's only available on private properties or on non-federally owned public lands, such as a county park. It's a federal pass-through cost-share grant. The funds originate with the USDA Forest Service. It can provide a substantial reimbursable contribution to the work of $750 per acre. I know that doesn't cover the entire cost, but it makes a big dent in it. Up to $10,000 for any one individual property. The grant is named the Significantly Impacted Communities at Risk. It's eligible. Only 3 counties in Texas are eligible. That would be Kerr, Edwards, and Real. Now, the second major effort we're wanting to help with here in Kerr County is to develop a community wildfire protection plan, excluding the city of Kerrville. It'll be for the entire county except for the city. It's a dynamic document that is a collaborative approach to wildland fire protection and mitigation. It'll be used to identify, map, and assess high-risk areas. And we'll be working with the Emergency Management Office with Dub and some volunteers and his staff to accomplish this. The target will be wildfire fuel reduction projects, places where we see dead and down timber or a very dense juniper growth. Incidentally, did you know there's no cedars in the Texas Hill Country? They're all junipers. So I told my doctor, he was talking about cedar fever, and I said, oh, no. It's Juniperus virginiana fever, which is the juniper over there in College Station. So anyway, back to the subject at hand. Then we want to define training needs and recommend prevention strategies. Some of the main parts of a CWPP to start with is to identify and invite key stakeholders. And I'm sure there's folks here in this room that will be identified as those stakeholders. Then we want to establish a planning process and find a place to have meetings, to get them scheduled, get them on the calendar, make them really count and have a good solid agenda. We want to develop a community background, identify and describe the fire environment, which would include looking at the woodland type, the size and the density of it, and evaluate that and convert it into a fuel model. Conduct risk assessments per subdivision or area of interest. And this is very time consuming. It takes a lot of effort to build one of these. Establish mitigation strategies and recommendations. And then finally, to initiate an action plan. And the CWPPs are typically reevaluated on a 5-year basis. The Texas A&M Forest Service will function as an involved advisor to the Emergency Management Office to help develop the plan. We will attend all of the meetings and will train the staff on how to conduct the community assessments. Now, this document is going to belong to Kerr County. Kerr County will be the authority on that, and we just will serve as an advisor to Kerr County. So I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but Kendall County has completed a CWPP. They had it done August of '23. And so if you want to see what the document looks like, you can go online and find it and see what you think about it. And that concludes my portion of this. Dub has our poster that we're going to be spreading around town, so I hope you see those things. And I really hope that some of you will be able to attend the workshop. I think you'll find it very beneficial.
So we're gonna have these posters put out all over town. I've got certain members are gonna come by my office today and tomorrow, and we'll put them up all over town so that people will be able to see these. And we're gonna have them put on social media, news releases, those types of things, and the Convention Bureau, all over town, to try and get as much participation as possible. The two programs that he's talking about both fit into our hazard mitigation plan that we've been working on. The 2018 plan, part of that was educating the public on mitigation strategies, as well as mechanical fuel reduction, which is part of what this program is. So I think this is a great opportunity for some residents in Kerr County. If you've got, if you need defensible space and you can get reimbursed from $750 an acre up to a maximum of $10,000. So it does help the public
Mr.
financially
Ward,
a little bit.
how does this, if you create a CWPP, how does this affect the homeowner's insurance? Does it help?
It should. I can't say definitively that it will. Insurance companies have their own process that they go through for risk assessment.
I had a meeting out in Northwest Hills, and they were talking along these lines about insurance concerns, because Kendall County has a program set up to where their homeowners can actually cut cedar and take it, and it gets mulched, and they can keep the mulch if they want it.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
We do that too. That's part of, when we get into it with the homeowner, they have to find a contractor. And so they negotiate with their contractor and get a price for it. But we'll come out and talk to the contractor, make sure he understands what our criteria is for the reimbursement. And that will meet any standard for any fire service in the country. And so, but the insurance companies, they approach things differently. And But
Really?
we're wanting to get more information from them so that we can make all of this kind of work together.
Right.
Any-
And you said
that answer-
time-wise, how long does it take to this whole process? How long did it take Kendall County?
To do the CWP, it'll
Yes.
take at least a year.
Okay.
And then we're in the process of trying to refine the CWPP. They've gotten some of their over 200 pages. And nobody's gonna sit down and read a 200-page document. And so we're trying to streamline that so we can make it shorter and more concise, still get all the information across.
Well,
May I-
thank you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I've got some comments and a question.
Okay.
So I attended, I think, your presentation at the recent CARFA meeting with all the fire chiefs, and it was well received. I'm looking forward to this thing happening. Do we have dates and times yet?
January 23rd.
For the workshop?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so are you gonna invite some of the contractors that might do some of this work in clearing? Because, you know, it might be
Sure.
real
Yeah,
handy
we
to
can-
the
we can
citizens
invite-
to
we can
to
invite
tie
them.
up right away,
Yeah,
We
get
can
this
invite
kicked
them.
off.
Some of y'all will be invited as well.
I'll be there,
yeah,
at least one of them.
okay.
Now, slightly different, but certainly in terms of wildfire prevention, James, what are your thoughts about the lithium battery energy storage systems? You know, boy, if we're concerned about wildfires,
I'll have to talk to Professor Google.
That's actually not on the agenda. We can't really address that.
it's related to wildfires. I'm sorry, it should be. And it might be part of our CWPP.
That's right, that's right.
It should be.
Maybe that'll be one of our high-risk areas.
Absolutely.
Just one comment. I will say, I'm glad you're doing this. You know, in my campaign, I talked a lot about cedar. Maybe it should have been juniper. I got it, but we all call it cedar here. And I'm mindful of what happened in Ruidoso last year because my father was evacuated. He retired up there. But, you know, we think because we live in the city, we're safe. Well, that's what they thought in Ruidoso too, until they lost 800 homes in a matter of a couple days and about 200 more when the flooding hit. So be mindful of that and how important this program is to reduce fuels out in the country, right? Because that path leads right to our city. I think it's important, and bravo for you for coming out, and I'm gonna be there. Thank you.
Great, we'll look forward to
Awesome.
seeing you.
Thank
You
y'all.
would think-
That's all we had. Thank y'all.
You think we learned from what happened in Yellowstone decades ago?
Right.
Did we need to take any action on this?
1980, yeah.
Presentation.
Okay.
We want to thank you for the presentation. We don't have any action to take today.
No, sir.
But obviously, there's a lot of action to be followed up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
The next item on the agenda is 1.4, which is something I put on the agenda, and I'm going to defer to 1.5 and move on to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the request from the Kerr County Historical Commission to relocate their office from the basement of the courthouse to the West Kerr County Annex, and move would be done at no cost to the county. Ms. Oates.
I'm Barbara Oates, and I'm the current chair of the Kerr County Historical Commission. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for your consideration for this move for KCHC. By allowing us to move out of the small space in the basement, you're giving us the opportunity to better serve the county and her residents and our mission, which is to preserve the history of Kerr County. It will provide us with accessible space for all our members. It's not been the case here. An area large enough to work on projects and exhibits, and also a place that's climately controlled that we can maintain and store items. Though we've appreciated the space in the courthouse, we know that this particular place at the West Kerr Annex is actually the central portion of our county. And so we've not always been real good about a side of a county. We just think being centrally located will be very good for KCHC. If we are given the space, we'll look to the county for guidance on what our responsibilities are for upkeep. And maybe I understand there's some furnishings and storage that the county might have that we could possibly use in that space. And we'll look to you for guidance. We are going to move ourselves, so it is not going to cost the county any money. And we have some exciting ideas, knowing that we'll now have a space that we can greet and we can do good things for the county. So thank you for your consideration.
This is something that Barbara came to me maybe about a year ago. I'm not sure. It's been quite a while, but it was also deliberated amongst the office space and Storage Space Committee, and, Sheriff Letha, who had dibs on the office space that's being considered at the West Kerr Annex. He's made it very clear that they do not plan to use that office area. And so,
That's not quite the case.
Oh, it's not?
That's what you told me last week.
well, that's
but
what the sheriff told me a few months ago. Is there something new on that?
You ready? Well, Rich, I haven't been over there in a while, but, we do have a patrol office. And, I thought I'm gonna have some kind of CID. I do need some kind of space. It doesn't have to be big, but now that it's permanent, that's one thing. Two is, the City of Ingram Police Department, I don't want to get in a whole lot. It's down to chief and two guys, which we're gonna be more busy over there. So I do need some type of CID. It doesn't have to be huge, and I don't even know what's left. I know we've been asked to vacate twice, our CID, but we do need something.
Okay. I mean, there's the offices right across the hallway from this bigger office.
Well, that's why I said, that's fine. I asked if us two can go over there and look at it. We just need something. I truly don't know what's left over there. I know
Okay.
we put a lot of people in there here recently.
I don't want to pull the rug out from underneath the sheriff's office till we,
Didn't either. I just thought we.
why don't the
had a
three
clear
of us go
understanding.
out there
That's fine.
sometime?
We did, Rich, but I thought there was still gonna be something left, and I don't know,
Well, I
Don,
think
do
there
you?
is.
Okay, and then
There
that's
is,
fine.
And there certainly will be a lot more in the future whenever Ingram ISD
sure.
are done with, there's two very large
Well, that'll be a
offices,
while.
But I understand that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be quite a while.
All right.
But, it doesn't matter, just
There are still
just
some other
something.
little areas that are
Barbara,
available for a small office.
I know I've probably been thrown under the bus on this, being a stick in the mud, but we got to make sure he's taken care of first, and there should be something we can work out.
We absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
And we have been patient.
Yeah.
We will be patient.
Good.
And we understand the sheriff needs space too. So I've been out there a couple of
Yeah.
times, so anything's gonna be better than space downstairs.
I understand. Okay. Well, let's, the three of us get together next week, or even this week.
This week, yeah, we can look
Let's
at
get
it,
her
as
done
long as
this
it's
week.
something.
Okay.
We're gonna take any action today?
One comment maybe before that and a question for Ms. Oates. I'm sure we're gonna work out, Wesker amongst us up here, what's going on to provide a space. Thank you for being involved in history. I love it. I think we'll talk about that maybe in later for liaison assignments, but who do you expect to go in your office? Is it one or two offices down there if you vacate and get a Wesker? What do you have down there?
It's one small office in the basement.
And it's got some storage, but we're aware that we have individual members of the historical commission who hold some things. We don't wanna junk up the space. We wanna create a lovely space where we can work. We do exhibits that are outside of that.
Yes, ma'am.
We have no place to meet right now. We meet at the chamber office when we do executive board meetings. We do have our monthly meetings at the Union Church. We're grateful to the county for that space that we can meet there. And those will continue at the Union Church. But functionally working, research, we're kind of all spread out. We have stuff in climate controlled storage with, so we're not gonna need a huge amount of space. But the space that was initially offered to us would be great. It would allow us to actually have some exhibits, to greet people, to meet, to work, to function. But we defer to the sheriff's department. We know,
Yes, ma'am.
we know we're secondary to that, and we're patient.
I understand your intent. Thank you.
And for those of you that don't know, this courthouse is not handicapped accessible everywhere. We do have a space down below that is not handicap accessible, where we have our grant coordinator and a JP, a constable, and the historical commission. And it is totally inadequate. It's inadequate for all three of them, quite frankly. But at some point, this needs to be an action item for the court to take some sort of remedial action to service the historical commission, because for those of you that don't know what they do, they are one of our least known gems, what they do. And the history of this county is rich and something that we need to preserve and needs to be a priority for the county. But what I'm hearing is I don't have a motion,
Well,
or do I have a
I'm
motion?
contemplating making a motion subject to the sheriff agreeing to whatever we can
Are you
work
okay
out.
with a motion subject to?
And then we don't have to bring it back. I mean, we
will
can meet on
second
Wednesday.
that motion.
So we
Okay,
now have a
that's my
motion
motion, that we
subject
approve this
to-
move, subject to the sheriff's agreement.
Coordinating with the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir.
So, with that, we have a motion subject to coordinating with the sheriff's office with regard to the available space
Right.
at the West Kerr County Annex. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Oates. And thank you for what you do. Now, with that, we'll go back to the item that I deferred, which was 1.4, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to ratify and confirm the lease of county property agreement between Kerr County and the Ingram Independent School District for portions of the facility located at 510 College Street, Ingram, Texas. I think Commissioner Harris is well aware of what we've got, and this was something that we needed. We were in the process of trying to close that transaction. That was a land swap with a little boot. We paid the cost for them to relocate their facilities when that becomes necessary. We're leasing some of the space over there back to them for their IT and for some document storage that they need, a large amount of document storage. They need to find alternate location to be able to store it.
They'll still have the haunted theater.
Yes.
And the gym is still gonna be used by a youth league and what have you. Their IT still has their deal set up, and part of it till they can get adequate space on one of the campuses, as well as their general contractor that, while they're still working on their bond stuff. So this has been a long time coming. Gosh, I guess we've been working on this a couple of years. And it's going before their board meeting tonight. So everything ought to be wrapped up relatively quickly.
And, go ahead.
Can I ask, so this lease, is this a continuation of the previous lease, or is this a new lease where we're gonna lease
No,
back to them?
No.
I'm not clear on this.
Okay. We leased the space from them.
Yeah.
In fact, let me just back it up. I didn't meet Dr. Templeton until we worked at the CIP committee. And he's a wonderful local leader. And when our bond issue failed, which he was a part of, he was a part of the bond issue. He was not part of the failure, but he was part of the bond issue. He came to us with the proposal of leasing that property out there from the school district for the whopping price of $1 a year, which we graciously accepted and have worked with. And what this is now, we've made a land swap, a like-kind exchange, as they call it. And we bought the acre and a half on the front of the property there on Highway 39, right by Ingram Tom Moore High School, just in front of that Presbyterian church out there, which we thought was a great location for the West Kerr County Annex. When the bond issue failed, we still needed to have some kind of West Kerr County Annex presence. And we were leasing a place over on Highway 27 that was totally and completely, utterly inadequate. And so we gave up that lease and leased the West Kerr County Annex from Ingram ISD. In that process, after a period of time, we began negotiations with Ingram ISD, and in the spirit of local government cooperation, the proposal was made that we swap. And I think it's almost 6 acres, or is it 8 acres?
9.
9 acres? 9 acres and an old historic building, which is only fitting for the Historical Commission to be in, quite frankly. And with that, we negotiated what it was going to cost to eventually move their IT department out and to move the is that the haunted auditorium over there where the documents are?
Yeah, theater, yeah.
There are a lot of old documents over there that need to be sorted through, and they need to figure out what to do with. And it's going to take them some time to do that. They ask us to be able to lease where the documents are for the time being so that they can do that in an orderly fashion, which seemed to be appropriate from our point of view. We approved the lease. We signed the contract. It is at the title company, last I heard. I don't know if it's actually funded yet or not. But that is the history of what we've done with Ingram ISD. And we are very proud of that interlocal government cooperation on a handshake deal.
And it's a win-win for both parties.
Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to ask for a motion.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the lease, to ratify and confirm. The ratify and confirm is, folks, I already signed it. So I need to come to the court and ask for them to bless what I signed in order to be able to take it to the title company. So that's my forgiveness. This is my, to be able to ratify and confirm this. So those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to item 1.6, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to accept donations to the Kerr County Animal Services totaling $245 for the month of December 2024. Mr. Reagan, Mr. Gibbons.
Good morning. Welcome to our new commissioners. You're going to see our $245 donations for December. You also see some other items, blankets, dog food, snacks.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the donation to the KCAS of $245. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.7, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on the resolution regarding Lennar Housing Project north of Comfort. Commissioner Holt.
Yes, for the court, how I like to introduce things is not throw a resolution people haven't seen and the court's not aware. I'm always gonna do a warning order, we're gonna talk about it, and then a resolution will follow. So this is the first part of a discussion about Lennar, which is building development in Comfort. So why does it matter to Kerr? Why are we talking about that? Well, in this proposed development, a large chunk of land, 600 acres, is being sold to Lennar, number 2 home builder in America, and they intend to build 1,100 homes on 600 acres right north of the Comfort High School. Here's how it comes to us in Kerr County. Part of that is to form a municipal utility district, a MUD, which, if you will, circumvents subdivision regulations, as it can chop that property into smaller allotments, not 10 acres, less than a half acre, right? So in that, the first thing that we caught, if you will, between Kerr and Kendall County was a request for a water permit, wastewater permit going to TCEQ. And that went to TCEQ. It is a 600,000 gallon approval for wastewater release into,
Per day.
yes, sir, per day. So imagine the consumption of water and then the treatment and then release of treated wastewater. As we know, some of that treated wastewater can be high in effluents, which is nitrates and potassium. And when released into standing bodies of water, that can have issues, especially sensitive standing bodies of water, like the Guadalupe that we have right below it. So our issue, why we're involved in Kerr, why I want to discuss it first before a resolution is circulated amongst the court, is that it runs through Cypress Creek. I live on Cypress Creek. I'm a part of the TCEQ advisory board for Cypress Creek, and it runs through North Creek and then into Guadalupe. That's all through Kerr County. So that is an issue for surface water, right? And it's also an issue, which is why we want to talk about it publicly for our groundwater folks, Headwaters and Cow Creek, that they understand how much water would be pulled up from the wells used by 1,100 homes north of Comfort High School, and then discharged on the surface water as it would flow through those creeks, which currently don't have a lot of water flowing through it because of consumption in East Kerr County. We've seen it gone up, and over years, the water in those creeks has really gone down. Where it used to flow annually, it just doesn't anymore. I know that because I see it every day. So it is an issue. I wanted to make the public aware that we are very aware of it. I've attended most of the meetings on that, and I will continue to do so. And I think it's time that we should consider a resolution. And Judge, I'd like to circulate that amongst our court in the future so we understand where we're at with that. And I'm very grateful to my predecessor, Jonathan Letts, for helping out with a sample resolution. And that's the framework of what will be sent around for consideration. I'm not asking for a vote today. I am just wanting to take some time in front of the court and the public so we understand. And if you have any questions about that, I can answer that at this time. Thank you.
So this is an information item only,
Info only.
and action to be taken later.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate the information that Commissioner Holt is providing to this court and all of our citizens. I've seen the resolution. I'd be happy to approve it today.
Yes, sir.
But you know.
I'm methodical in my approach.
And it's, I respect that, sir. But, you know, what concerns me is TCEQ moves pretty quick on these things, and your resolution is only calling for them to have a public hearing, and I wouldn't delay much.
I
guess is
understand.
my concern is that this thing gathers momentum and moves ahead, and I'm reasonably confident that TCEQ is likely to approve it.
Good thing is Angela Sander, our South Texas Water Master, and I have talked.
Okay?
And she is aware that we want to formally request a hearing.
Okay.
And that we are very concerned about it. And Chad Carpenter from Kendall, our, if
Yep.
you will, our commissioner on just across the way is aware as well.
If I understand the TCEQ process, I believe, you know, concerned citizens can request the hearing as well. So I would encourage any concerned citizens to contact TCEQ directly and request a public hearing.
You know, I was quite vocal when Lennar Homes came to us with their handout looking for a tax abatement a while back, and their reputation preceded them, and it's not very good. And as the city rolled out the red carpet for them, we didn't hear it as a court, but they still come anyway. They're always going to ask, but even if they're turned down, they're going to come anyway. So, anyway, they're tough to fight. They're big.
Yes, sir, they are.
A lot of this will come down to Kendall County subdivision rules and regulations and what they have to approve.
Okay.
Anything else? Then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is 1.9. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the resolution regarding the FY '26 Rifle Resistant Body Armor Project, grant application number 5334001 to the Office of the Governor for the BG Rifle Resistant Body Armor Grant Program on behalf of the Kerr County Sheriff's Office.
Morning, Judge, Court. Hey, Judge, I think you skipped over 1.8. 1.8 and 1.9 go hand in hand. One's for the application, the second one is for
I'm
the
sorry,
resolution.
I checked it off because I thought that was the one we were just talking, the information. I already checked that one. So let me go back to 1.8. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to submit the grant application 5334002 to the Office of the Governor on behalf of the Kerr County Sheriff's Office for the FY '26 Rifle Resistant Body Armor Project. You may proceed.
Morning. Noel's out today, so I'm stepping in here for. We just approved, or the court just approved the fiscal funds for 25. They approved that, so we were awarded $20,500. So the grant opened again for the next fiscal year, which we're going to apply. That $20,500 was kind of a shortfall for what we got for it. So we're kind of identifying those key personnel to get that rifle-resistant body armor out to, and then hopefully we'll be able to cover the rest with this 26 fiscal year. So just asking the court's permission to go ahead and apply for that, and then the resolution as well.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve submitting a grant application to the Office of the Governor for the Rifle Resistant Body Armor Project as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 1.9, which is to approve the resolution regarding the Rifle Resistant Body Armor grant application as presented above.
I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
We're going to skip over and pass on item 1.10. Ms. Putnam is out of the office today. Item 1.11, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve a $50 donation from a citizen to the Sheriff's Equipment Fund, 72-370-530. Sheriff Latham.
Just looking for the court's approval to be able to accept this $50 and put in our donation, our sheriff's equipment fund.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve accepting the $50 gift as, for the Sheriff's Equipment Fund as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous. 1.12, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to approve the collective data subscriber agreement for asset and inventory management for the Kerr County Sheriff's Office and allow the county judge to sign same. Sheriff Latham.
Okay, Lieutenant Gage is over this project. He'll present it to y'all.
Morning again. The the contract we sent over to the county attorney, so she reviewed it, sent it. So this is a subscriber-based inventory quartermaster program that we've kind of been looking at for a while with the sheriff's office. Currently, as we get all these grants, and we've acquired a lot of equipment over the past few years, just that management of that equipment. Like currently, we're using Excel sheets to manage that equipment and that inventory from it. So this is a quartermaster program. It's subscriber-based. The storage for all the data is an off-premise thing, so our IT doesn't have to be involved in it. Gives us user access in there. We can manage all of our assets from our fleet to individual officers' equipment as well, and also with the jail, all the equipment that goes with the jail. So we've kind of looked at a few vendors. This collective data is actually designed towards law enforcement as an inventory system. So we're able to run an active inventory system all the way down from uniform. So as we issue it out, it actually tracks all that issuing out, as well as, this program has countless reports that we can run for auditing purposes, as well as for projection for budget in the future. So
How do y'all currently track?
Excel sheets, so it's kind of, I'm over some of the grant stuff, so I kind of have Excel sheets and inventory stuff, and then, Matt Reeser, our corporal, he's over our fleet, so he manages all the fleet equipment as well. So we have all this type of stuff. So this is going to give us one streamlined system of putting everything in one place that users are able to go into and take a look at everything.
At what cost?
It's a yearly deal with 3 licenses. So initially, it would be at $14,500 for it, and then we would go down to $12,500 a year for it. But like I said, this cost will be split between the jail as well as the sheriff's office. These funds have already been identified through our current budget.
Scott, in the attachment, it's talking about an annual subtotal of $18,500.
That was the initial onboarding, I
Yeah, that
believe.
includes some training.
There's initial onboarding where they come down to do training, also uploading all of it, and then it'll drop down. So the initial one the initial one is $14,500, and then we moved to year 2, which is $16,500 on it. We added a training module as well, so it's going to be able to track all of our training submissions from it, and also analytical as in cost for training and everything else as well.
And the county attorneys reviewed all this? I move for approval.
A second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the collective data subscriber agreement as presented for the sheriff's office. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 1.13, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action concerning the acceptance of the 2024 Kerr County Sheriff's Office Racial Profiling Report for the period of January 1, 2024 through December 31 of 2024. Sheriff Latham.
Yes, okay, just so the new members on the court know, every year we're required by the state to do racial profiling in our traffic stops. I'll be talking to y'all a little bit more detail in 3.2 later on, but this is our report we submit for y'all's approval. Just to kind of give you a little information, I'm really proud of our guys. In 2023, we stopped 3,021 vehicles. This last year, we stopped 5,467, that's 81% up. So, my guys are out there doing some work and getting some stuff done. But this is just for y'all to look at for your approval.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the racial profiling report from the sheriff's office as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. At this point, we will take a 10-minute break and come back at 10 minutes after 10.
The certificate's probably better than any plaque.
Until you read it.
No, until you read it. I loved it still.
It's 10:13, the court is back in order. Next item on the agenda is 1.14, which is to conduct a public hearing for the court to consider a petition to abandon, vacate, and discontinue the Divide School Road. This is a public meeting. I'm presiding. I convene the call it to order. Is there anyone who would like to address the court on this issue? There being none, then I will adjourn the meeting, and we will move on to item 1.15, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to consider a petition to abandon, vacate, and discontinue the Divide School Road. Charlie Hastings.
Thank you, Judge. The Office of the County Engineer has received a petition to abandon, vacate, and discontinue Divide School Road. According to Texas statutes, the court may order public roads laid out, discontinued, closed, abandoned, vacated, or altered. The statute defines the relevant terms, in this case, abandon to relinquish the public's right-of-way in and use of the road, vacate to terminate the existence of the road by direct action of the Commissioner's Court of the county, and discontinue to discontinue the maintenance of the road. We're asking for the court to do all three. That's what the petition is for. So the court, our process to abandon, vacate, and discontinue that we have been using is, one, the court sets a public hearing, date and time, and the county clerk publishes notice of said public hearing in local newspaper. We just held the public hearing. It's been well advertised in the paper. The court order establishing the public hearing and a map showing the limits of the road that is to be considered for action is posted at both ends of the subject portion of the road, as well as the courthouse, for a minimum of 20 days prior to the public hearing. I personally posted all of those maps. Map and court order number 40971 was posted at both ends of Divide School Road and at the county courthouse by the county engineer on December the 5th, 2024. That was 39 days prior to the public hearing of today. So we're well within the 20-day requirement. A public hearing is required before the Commissioner's Court can consider action. The public hearing was conducted moments ago, today, on January the 13th, 2025, as advertised. And following the public hearing, the Commissioner's Court may consider and take action, which is what we're about to ask you to do. The court, if you approve this, it would mean that Kerr County would be relieved of its duties to maintain the road. Henceforth, the road would become the responsibility of Divide School, and the Road and Bridge Sign Division would place a red stripe on the top of the Divide School Road street sign, which indicates that this road is privately maintained. We do that. If you ever see a green street sign with a red stripe on the top, it's a 1-inch wide red stripe, that means it's privately maintained. So the county engineer recommends that the court approve the petition to abandon, vacate, and discontinue Divide School Road, Precinct 4.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve vacating the Divide School Road as presented. Any discussion?
Yes, I feel like I need to go in and explain why this is being done. For you new guys, are you familiar with the Divide School?
No, I'm looking forward to this. Thank you.
Okay, it's the smallest school district in the state of Texas. Their school bus is a limo. I think they may have added a Suburban by now. But anyway, with all the trafficking and bailouts on Highway 41, they wanted higher security. So they are putting in a large security gate. And so that couldn't be done on a county road. And so they can have a security gate where somebody couldn't pull in there and bail out in the middle of a school. Okay. And so that's the reasoning for this. You want to add anything to that, Charlie?
That was well said.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
visited with school staff. They've described everything you said, and this needs to be done.
We've
Safety
been
of the
talking
kids.
about this a year and a half or so. So anyway, that's the reasoning behind it.
And as a footnote, I would add that for those of you that don't know where the Divide is, it's far, far west Kerr County. And these are probably the most neglected taxpayers that we have. And their request for us to abandon the road so they can make their school more secure is a no-brainer, in my opinion. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. The next item is 1.16, which is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize the advertising and issuance of a request for proposal for the construction services for the Kerr County Indoor Arena Structural Retrofit Project. We got Mr. Hastings up there. Pardon me, I need to step back to my desk. I left something there, but if you would just continue, I know what this is about, and I'm for it, so.
Yes, sir.
I'll be right back.
Very good. The Kerr County Indoor Arena Structural Retrofit Project construction plans and specifications have been completed by Maxwell Engineering and the Kerr County Engineering Department, and a request for proposals, an RFP, is ready to be advertised and issued to obtain sealed competitive bids. The project generally consists of retrofitting the metal structural frame to bring the structure into building code compliance in advance of future renovations. The advertisement for bid is attached and consists of the following schedule. Solicitation and advertising would be January 15th and the 22nd, 2025. A mandatory pre-bid conference, 2 p.m., January 27th, 2025. Vendor questions would be due 2 p.m., January 31st, to the Kerr County engineer. Vendor questions would be answered 4 p.m., February 5th, 2025. Bids would be due 2 p.m., February the 7th, 2025. That is a Friday at 2 p.m., February 7th, 2025. Bids would be due. Anything turned in after 2 o'clock will not be opened. Bid opening would be at 10 a.m. that following Monday in open court, February the 10th, 2025, right here in this room, Kerr County Commissioners Court. We would evaluate the bids February 10th through the 24th. We'd bring it back to the court on the 24th to get those bids awarded. County engineer requests that the court authorize the advertising and issuance of a request for proposals for construction services for the Kerr County Indoor Arena Structural Retrofit Project, Precinct 2.
I'll make a motion to authorize the advertising and issuance of a request for proposals for construction services for the Kerr County Indoor Arena Structural Retrofit Project.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the RFP as presented on the indoor arena. Any discussion?
I'll just provide a little bit additional information here. This is in conjunction with the roof replacement project that's already approved. Contract's already been awarded. But to ensure that we have adequate structural integrity for all of the future improvements that are planned out there, it's important that we go ahead with these structural modifications. These are relatively minor. I am hopeful at least that this won't be a high dollar contract, but nonetheless, we have to follow the process and seek requests for proposals. So, and the other key piece of information is whoever the successful bidder is has to coordinate closely with the contractor that's going to be doing the roof replacement, because ideally this work is going to be done once they remove the old roof and insulation, while it's just steel structure that's exposed, make it a lot easier.
Portions of it, yes, sir.
Portions
of the job.
So anyway, that's just a little added background.
Just for clarification, we have had in court, and we've discussed the roofer for the ag barn.
This is the ag barn.
Yes.
Indoor
Still
arena.
the
Indoor
ag
arena
barn.
is the
This
ag
is
barn.
the ag barn.
Even though the name is a little different.
Yes,
This is
sir.
a different scope of work, which is well done. I'm glad to have an engineer present this, and thank you for taking this.
Yeah, well, and this is Maxwell Engineering did the detailed structural engineering that's led to this request for proposals. So we had a certified structural engineer do all this work.
It's done right.
And we have all the detailed drawings and so forth. So, yeah, but this is the indoor arena or the ag barn,
Thank you.
the dirt floor building.
Got it.
And welcome to Kerr County. Those of us that have been here any number of years have called that the Ag Barn forever. And when we remodeled it and made it the Hill Country Youth Event Center, we have been diligently trying to change our vocabulary to call it the Youth Event Center.
Well, it was even called that
They're one and the same.
well before. Yeah.
But you'll hear Mr. Harris and I, when we say Ag Barn, we mean Youth Event Center.
Fair enough.
And this, we have a motion and a second to approve this, and this is just to advertise and issue the RFP.
For structural modifications, yes. Yes.
Right. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.17. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to authorize the Road and Bridge Department to remove drainage obstructions from the right-of-way on Lillian Drive near 182 and 188 Lillian Drive, Kerrville, Texas. Mr. Hastings.
Lillian Drive is subject to a road easement as shown on the subdivision plat for Kerrville South 2, approved by the Kerr County Commissioners Court on September 1st, 1976, and recorded in Volume 4, page 64 of the Kerr County Land Records, which reads, "An easement is retained and provided for roads 60 feet wide. All tracks go to the center of all roads and are subject to an easement for such road 30 feet wide across the front, side, or back of the track as indicated." And further, in the certificate of authentication and dedication, quote, "Dedicated to the public for public use forever, the roads shown hereon," end quote. Said road and easement is therefore to be maintained by Kerr County Road and Bridge Department, and maintenance within the full width of the road easement by other entities is forbidden unless a permit is obtained from the Kerr County Engineering Department. The nature of the issue or concern we have here, the addresses are 182 and 188 Lillian Drive, property IDs 67362 and 30363. They needed a permit to modify their driveway. They needed a permit to do work in the right-of-way. They modified the drainage to try to, it looks like an attempt to keep water from coming onto their property, but by doing so, it's dumping it on the property next door.
In violation of the Texas.
Yes, sir. The first notification letter was sent November the 26th, 2024. It was sent to the owner of 182 Lillian. It was returned to the Kerr County Engineering Department on December the 5th, 2024 as undeliverable because the property had recently been sold. Second notification letter was dated December the 6th, 2024, and was sent to the apparent new owner of 182 Lillian. It was returned on December the 13th, 2024, as undeliverable for reasons unknown. Third notification was dated January the 7th, 2025, and was sent to owners of both 182 and 188 Lillian. Those were sent certified. They have not been returned back. We have not received any notification from the property owners. The drainage ditch in front of 182 and 188 Lillian has been deepened and material stacked up in the right-of-way adjacent to the property line in what looks like an effort to keep excess flows in the ditch from overflowing onto 182 Lillian and the driveway for 188 Lillian. However, this may cause stormwater that has always overflowed here due to the natural topography and lay of the land to be diverted to the downstream neighbor located at 198 Lillian Drive. And we've seen some indications that it looks like that's exactly what has happened. We're surprised when that property owner has not called us. Texas Water Code Section 11.086A says no person may divert or impound the natural flow of surface waters in this state or permit a diversion or impounding by him to continue in a manner that damages the property of another by the overflow of the water diverted or impounded. So it's not that you can't do some diversion, you can't do it where it impacts somebody. That's the no-no. Due to the inability to communicate with the property owners in a timely fashion, it is recommended by the county engineer that the court authorize the Road and Bridge Department to restore the drainage ditch in front of 182 and 188 Lillian Drive, Kerrville, Texas, Precinct 1, to the previous condition. That's all we're trying to do. We just want to put it back. We're hoping that we'll finally get a hold of these property owners in doing so, so that we can have discussions and maybe we can give them some guidance on how they can better protect themselves. They do have water that flows through the property. It's always flowed through. You look at old topography maps, you look at new ones, that water wants to go where it wants to go, and they've got to let it go there. There's some things they can do deeper on their own property that rather than way up front at the road to where it's maybe dumping on the neighbor, they can receive that water onto their property and probably manipulate it in a way that works best for everyone. And that's what we're going to try to help them do.
But they're required to have a permit to have done what they did, right?
In the right-of-way, yes, sir.
Right.
Yes,
they
sir.
did not have a
And
permit.
also a driveway permit. They modified their driveway as well. Yeah, they should have had a permit for both.
Charlie, are these residential properties? Are there homes on?
Yes.
And we still can't get in touch with the actual people?
Yes, and the properties are, if you go out there, that's a long driveway to get back to where the house is, and I'm not going down there.
Oh, okay. Maybe our new commissioner will.
Not sending my staff down there. We're just not. We don't feel comfortable. When we're out there, we're hoping someone would drive by where we could stop them and talk. We've sent letters, we sent certified. We're just not getting any communication with them.
So being new, I'm gonna ask the dumb question. Do we get some kind of reimbursement for our services rendered since they went in there without a permit?
We could. If the court would like to add that into what's being done,
Let me
the
address
court has the right to do that.
You're absolutely right. Violation of the Texas Water Code is a strict liability. You don't debate it. You either do it or you didn't. And I have litigated many cases involving the impoundment and diversion of water. And I have the only, as I know, I think as of lately, the only permanent injunction against somebody in Kerr County to not dump water on somebody else. And it includes the award of attorney's fees. The truth of the matter is, we're actually doing these landowners at 182 and 188 Lillian a favor by offering to do it on taxpayer dollars, because they're the ones that are liable. But the people that live downstream are probably not in the position to be able to hire lawyers, file lawsuits, and pursue it through to the end. So we're doing the right thing for the right reasons, benefiting the wrong people, and benefiting the right people as well. So, but you're right, Charlie.
I'll make a motion
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second
to approve
to authorize the removal of the drainage obstructions in the right-of-way on Lillian Road.
as written, yes.
But you're
As-
not gonna
as
try to
presented.
charge the owners, or?
I'd like to pursue reimbursement from the owners. I think we,
Well, I mean, to
Well,
me, the
that probably
motion
needs
should
to be a
include that.
separate, does it?
well, it's not on the agenda.
Right.
So if it's not on the agenda, I can't put
Right.
it in there.
We
But I want to
can-
commend Road and Bridge and the engineering department for bringing this to our attention. This is something that we want to do to help our taxpayers. And it is regrettable that these people are not responding when they have the legal responsibility to do so. So with that, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And for those of you, and that motion carries unanimous. This is the old Kerrville South, which has been a headache since inception. Moving on to item 1.18, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action for the court to approve an amending plat for Hill Country Ranch Estates, Tract 12R in Wellsite. Plat file number 23-00172. Mr. Hastings.
This proposal adjusts the lot lines between the well site and tract 12R. Frontage for both tracks remains on Green Oak Drive. County engineer requests the court consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding an amending plat for Hill Country Ranch Estates, tract 12R and well site, plat file number 23-00172 and volume 3, page 5, precinct 3. That tract 12R is 10 acres today and will be exactly 10 acres after the adjustment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the amending plat of Hill Country Ranch Estates, Tract 12R, and Wellsite as presented.
Discussion, Judge.
Yes?
This was an interesting success story, and I thank you for the work. And TCEQ actually got involved, I think, and then
Yes.
helped them get to a successful solution. I've actually been on this site. I know the property owners. I'm aware of the situation. And it got so bad, just for the context of the court, that Mr. Taylor decided to re-drill his own well because of the issue with that public well. Now that y'all got involved, they fixed that public well system, which was very shady, if you will, in an engineering perspective term. That's my own term. As far as its ability to operate, it is solved now, and I thank you for that. So, from a public or a court, it is a victory that was done, and I thank you for the involvement with that. That is, just for context, it's by the Hill Country Shooting Sports, if you're aware of that, on Cypress Creek, up on that hill. If you're going up to the shooting range, take a right. You'll go down there a ways, about a mile in, and back within this area is a small little well system that really needed an upgrade.
A public well system.
I am tracking, thank
Yeah.
you.
And the well track we're describing here is it's a public well system, it's for a public water system.
Correct.
My understanding is TCQ, they need to have a document that shows what they own for that well site to satisfy some TCQ regulations. So
Yes, sir. And I
this
understand
is
Mr.
critical
Taylor-
for that public water system to
Yes.
move forward.
He owns a small portion of that real estate, right? And that
Yes,
needed
sir.
to be
Yeah,
settled.
they modified property lines and fence lines in order to make it work for
Yes,
everybody.
and he showed me. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.19. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to appoint Charlie Hastings as the owner's representative for the construction of the new new Kerr County Animal Services Facility.
I move for approval.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. And for those of you that read the agenda, it has my name on it, but I have you know, this actually came from Commissioner Letts. This is one of the things that we're tidying up in his departure. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to item 1.20. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to submit the final plat for the new Kerr County Animal Services Facility to the city of Kerrville. The plat is ready. It was presented to me to sign. When I said I needed to have court approval before I could sign anything, they looked at me like I was stupid. And I said, no, we can't do anything until we have court approval. So that's why it's on the agenda.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the final plat submission for the Kerr County Animal Services Facility. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.21. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to review the liaison responsibilities and determine the liaison appointments for 2025. And I sent these out to the various commissioners. We have liaison commissioners, and let me just kind of clarify this so the public understands how we do this. We are subject to the Open Meetings Act, and as such, we can only talk to one other member of the court before we're, quote, tapped out. And that means we can't talk to anybody else until we get an open court, which gets to be cumbersome. And when I first came on the court, we had 2 liaison commissioners for each department. And we had some feisty discussions about not being told about something sooner than when we showed up in court that morning. And to address that, I established a policy as the county judge that we should only have 1 liaison commissioner so that they're free to talk to whoever they need to talk to that's affected by whatever's going on in that department. And so since I've been on the court, we've had 1 commissioner appointed per department. The way I went about doing this, and I did it again this year, and I think it was very productive, and that was I asked the commissioners to tell me what their preferences were, and they ranked them. And we did that before. I've always done it that way. And I also asked the department heads to give me their preferences. So I know that we've got a department head that's going to be able to work with whatever commissioner is their liaison. And so I came up with my recommendations, and I got it all tabulated, well, let me correct that. Jody tabulated it for me, the boss, and we distributed it out to everybody last week, so that you would have some time to be prepared to address the proposed appointments that I've submitted to the court. So that's what we've done, so with that, I open the floor up. Is there a motion or a second to
I'll
approve?
make a motion to adopt the liaison appointments.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Discussion?
Yeah, I will just bring up that certainly we have had 2 liaison appointments even the last year. For example, Commissioner Letts and I both were liaisons with HR and the airport. Worked really well as far as I was concerned. Now, I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't have that, but I mean, we have, and I guess there are certain departments or external folks where it might make more sense to have more than 1 commissioner. So I'm just throwing it out there.
But you tap out.
Well, yeah.
And if you want to do one where you put 2 on there, then that's the discretion of the court.
Sure.
I was just giving my initial recommendation as to to fill these positions. And so that the public knows, I went through and added up, excuse me, the boss went through and tabulated and added up how many per commissioner. We tried to distribute them evenly, with the senior commissioners getting, I think, one more than the new commissioners, simply because they have the experience to handle that. So that all of these responsibilities are evenly divided among the 5 of us. And for, there are those out there going to question, what are mine as the county judge? Nearly every one of the things that I am a liaison on, I am required by statute to be on, such as MHDD, PDO, ACOG. All of these things are required. They write the statute so that it says the county judge. And I have tried to delegate some of those, not successfully, but some of them I like better than others. But this way we spread the work out and we work together as a team, which is what we're trying to do for the benefit of the citizens. So we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just from a perspective of conflicts and things like that, I think we worked out internally if there should be any conflict based upon our prior service. And actually, I think we can always, call our attorney, if you will, to make sure there's no issue with a certain thing. And I think that's been worked out already. And I certainly, I appreciate all the coordination that was done on this. This is good. You're not gonna see probably a lot of fighting amongst us on liaison appointments. I think it was well thought out, and I don't have an issue. But the reason I'm talking right now is about the 391. Originally, that had 2 peoples, but that doesn't preclude the court from saying there's gonna be 2 county commissioners on a 391
Exactly.
commission. There should be 1 person in charge of a liaison appointment, and that's how it's typically done, I think, correct?
Well, and the liaison position is to come back and report to this court what's going on, so that we know. Somebody needs to have the responsibility to come back and tell us what's happening.
Yeah, and yeah, we can pull in whoever we need, and as far as fighting, as long as I get what I want, there's no fighting.
And
I
for
wish
those
we
of you
could
that-
show everyone.
For those of you
We've
that
actually
don't
worked it out.
know, he's had the same liaison positions for 6 years.
Well, no, I haven't. But I did take
Pretty
over
much.
quite a few of Harley's.
But there was some give and take, and I thank you, Judge, for putting me on the proposal for veteran services, for instance.
Well, I've been the liaison there for the last several years.
Yes, sir.
You seem very well qualified to do that.
Thank you.
I don't know about that.
Don't throw in too many bones right off the bat.
So those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We'll move on to item 1.21. This is to consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to review the liaison, we did
No,
that.
that's one we just
22.
did. Yeah.
Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to appoint members of the court to serve on the Animal Services Advisory Committee as per court order number 41008. This item also has my name on it. And I was strongly arm twisted by Commissioner Letts to put this on here. And his recommendation, which I agree with, is to nominate Jeff Holt to serve in this position. So that's my motion.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Item 1.23. You're gonna recognize this one too.
Well, should we say who's appointed to these positions that we just, on the
Liaisons?
committee?
You talking about the liaison
Yeah,
assignments? or-
no, the,
Oh, the animal control?
Yeah.
Animal control?
yeah.
Well, that was approved in the last
Let's was
meeting,
the last
except
one
for
appointed.
the liaison, and that was
Right.
before Jeff was official.
But, what about your veterinarian and?
Yeah, that
The
was all
fellow
already
members.
approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we approved it.
Okay.
This is just our
Okay.
seat.
All right,
That,
there
that
you
was
go.
done on
We
the,
have one
in
seat on
December.
that,
Okay.
Yeah.
But we covered the
Committee.
other
Yeah,
appointments.
you
Okay.
feel free to name the names. It's there in the backup.
Yeah.
We'll move on to item 1.23. Again, you'll see Letts' handwriting here. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to authorize Jonathan Letts as the chair of the PWPG
Plateau Water Planning Group.
Region J to work with Jody Grinstead regarding the administrative work concerning the PWPG Region J. And what this is Commissioner Letts, no longer, I guess I have to call him ex-Commissioner Letts now, which seems awkward, but he still remains as the chair of Region J. And with that, he takes Jody to each one of those lengthy meetings that are recorded, and there's a great deal of interface that has to be done after the meeting that she does. She is a county employee. While he was commissioner, he's not on there in his official capacity as commissioner, he's just on there as a member of that group, but he is the chair. And he's asked us to authorize to continue to use Jody so that we don't skip a beat in being able to handle those responsibilities. So I put that on the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Jonathan Letts as the chair of PWPG Region J and to use Jody Grinstead.
He's already, he's already.
He's already that. We don't get to decide that. We just get to decide whether or not she can help him.
Yes, and to use the services of Jody Grinstead.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve Jody Grinstead working with Region J as she's done in the past. Any discussion?
I'm just kind of curious, what has the PWPG, what are the more significant things that it's done? Because, you know, we really haven't heard that much from this group in this court, so I'm just kind of curious.
They prepared the state water plan for our region.
Okay, is that out there on the,
Different counties and.
on the county website?
They report to the governor.
Report to the governor?
Yes.
It
The
really
office of-
doesn't, he's on there as a small business owner, not as a county representative.
Right, they have no
But
authority.
UGRA hosts the Plateau Water Planning Group
Yep.
website, so it's all on the UGRA website.
So, as Commissioner, what's your name again?
Yeah.
This guy
Yeah.
points out they have no authority, so what are they doing? Just making recommendations then?
They advise the governor, yeah.
May we ask for the report and to have them come in and provide that information so the court's more aware? I think it'd be prudent.
They don't normally do that type of
Yeah.
thing.
It really doesn't have, there's county representatives on there from the various counties, but we don't.
And they get input from all the different groundwater people. I mean, Gene and Monica attend, and all 6 counties. They come together and they share what their updates are, and they start projecting for the future water plan for the area. But each groundwater district has to prepare their own report.
Okay.
So this is just a regional thing.
And they're a resource
Yeah.
for information. And it's done on a more regional basis than
Right.
county basis.
Right. And Jonathan's been the chair for a while. He's very good at what he's doing.
Yes.
He's in the chair since '99 when it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I value this
Right.
participation, that's what this is about.
I'm just looking for a way or means to get better informed on what's going on there, that's all. It just, like I say, this first time it's really kind of come to the court's attention.
Well, and it normally
And I'm
wouldn't
sure
come to the
there's
court's
a lot of
attention.
good stuff being done, but.
The only context that it comes to the court's attention is he's requested for Jody
I
to continue
get
to
all
be
that.
able to assist
Yeah.
him
Right.
because she already knows what needs to be done.
Right.
And it's done very efficiently and economically.
Right.
I understand that.
It would be a
And
hardship.
I'm
for
fine
them.
with that, just, okay.
They don't control us, we don't
No.
control them.
No, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
come through here.
We're
You
just
can look
neighbors.
up what they do, you know, on your
Yeah.
own.
Okay.
Okay. Did we ever vote on that?
Nope.
We have-
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 1.24, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action to determine how to handle the release or disclosure of 1, third-party/external document request, and 2, third-party/external request for personal comments, comma, written or oral, close parentheses, from outside counsel, Charles Kimbrough, and/or the Commissioner's Court Office regarding project issues or documents related to the proposed 391 Regional Planning Commission with Kendall County. Commissioner Paces.
Yeah, I mean, this is on the agenda just because, for a very simple reason. This court reviewed and discussed and ultimately approved the 391 SRBPC interlocal agreement and bylaws. And, you know, outside counsel Chuck Kimbrough provided those to us. They were in PDF form, which made it kind of difficult to, edit the documents. Certainly, I went through and provided the court through Jody with my markups and comments, and I was simply looking for a Word document that we could then share with Kendall County to facilitate their changes, which we know are coming. And then basically we were told by Chuck Kimbrough that he couldn't share the Word document without the court's approval, which seems a bit strange. I mean, the documents themselves are public already. I understand the privileged and confidential and wouldn't want to violate that, but once this court reviews documents and approves them, then they're public documents. And a simple thing of having it in a Word format saves somebody else from using PDF Pro and trying to change them into Word so they can track changes.
Wouldn't you want PDF for our final documents so they cannot
For final
be- so
documents,
they cannot
absolutely,
be
but these were
adjusted?
draft. We're talking about drafts and making changes in documents rather than people trying to read my illegible handwriting on a markup. I'm just looking for a general approval from the court for outside counsel to release a Word document on draft documents, so we can better facilitate corrections and revisions and so forth. That's it.
Okay. And for context, Rich, our special event or special meeting that we had in Kendall that we
Yes.
both attended, there is considerable, I think, legal work that they have to do in order to
Right.
review the bylaws. They had a lot of questions about what attorneys were involved,
Right.
who do we pay, what they can do, what
Sure.
their attorney can't do, that they're gonna may have to hire somebody outside as well to look at this in the context of the bylaws and then bring it back to us.
Right.
It is a very much an iterative process, and you believe they need all these notes?
Well, it would have been helpful. Do they need it? No, they've found a way around it. I've been in discussion with both Commissioners McCall and Commissioner Carpenter. This is on their agenda. Their regular meeting is tomorrow on a Tuesday. And it's on their agenda again to hopefully finalize these documents for return to Kerr County for our consideration. And those documents then will have, well, the way Commissioner Carpenter worded it is they're gonna just prepare a list of, item by item, here's the change desired, as opposed to trying to mark up the document as I did previously. So, I mean, we'll see what they give us. I'm just saying, boy, it would be a lot easier if they had the Word document to work with. And is it really that big a deal once it becomes a public document to provide them with that preserved formatting? This is,
That is.
2025 now, and, it seems like we ought to use the latest and greatest technology.
Should that be a Heather question?
Yes, it is a Heather question.
I think
but
it is.
Before I put her on the spot, I've represented local governments before. I've represented counties as a lawyer. And it's very difficult as a practicing attorney to represent a five-headed entity.
Sure.
And what I learned when I was practicing law is that I have to have the approval of the entire court. That doesn't mean it has to be unanimous. I need a majority of the court telling me what to do.
Right.
And when you don't have that, things become very problematic very quickly. And in this instance that you're talking about, I got a call over the weekend when this came up from Chuck Kimbrough, who I have a professional relationship with as well as a personal relationship with. And we sometimes call each other, off hours. And he asked me if the court had approved giving that Word document to Kendall County. And I told him I didn't think so, but I'd check it out because I was not here that day, the 23rd. And the big concern was we had an internal document that he had prepared for us that we offered our input on, and he got back to us, and he wanted to make sure that whatever document was being presented to Kendall County was the external document, the one that was public, and it was.
And it was.
And so I went back and double-checked on with the boss, of course, to see what we had. And there was an external document prepared after the executive session discussion on the 23rd of December which I was unable to attend. That's why I didn't know off the top of my head. And that was prepared, and that was distributed to all of us. It was in my inbox, it was in, I think, everybody's inbox. And then there were some individual personal comments that one of the commissioners made, which did not have the approval of the full court.
Correct.
The typed version did,
Yes, right.
but the copy version with the personal comments on it did not.
Right.
And so his question to me, and I thought it was a fair question, and I know he posed it to Heather as well, is did we have court approval to distribute that? That's the question I got. And the response was, as to the type part of it, yes, that had become external.
Yeah.
And because once we make it public, we lose the privilege. And so he's very careful to make sure that we maintain the privilege. And so that was the only hesitation
Sure.
at that point.
To me, we're just talking about the format, though. I mean, again, it's a public document. Are we talking about it has to remain always in PDF version, or can we have a Word version of the same public document? That's all I was kind of looking for.
But once you give somebody the Word version, it can change.
Well, it can.
And we lose.
But we keep what we want in terms of the final approved document in a court order.
Well,
Anyway.
as a lawyer, I guess a recovering lawyer, but I don't give up my Word documents unless I absolutely have to.
In this
And
case,
so I understood his concern.
fair enough. I can only tell you
He
that.
didn't want to do it without our approval, so.
That's right.
Exactly, and that's
take-
fine. That's
take your
fine.
motion.
But I'm certainly, in the private sector and
I know.
working for
Well,
big oil
he-
companies, I mean,
he understood.
lawyers all the
I
time circulate things in Word and we mark them up, so.
Right. And he
Heather-
understood, I understood. I think
Heather,
Heather
did you have
understood.
something you were gonna,
I agree with the judge. I don't like to share my documents that aren't saved PDF so that changes can't be made to them that I don't know are made. And if they're submitted later with changes that aren't, we assume that they're tracked, it will be hard for us to
but it's-
confirm that other changes haven't been made.
But even Word, you can easily compare documents in different versions to see
but you're talking
whatever
about going
changes.
through word for word is what they're saying, having to having to actually revisit your entire document to see if somebody has edited it without your knowledge.
For those of you that know me,
I mean, that's,
Yeah, but if
I
it comes
I
back
tell
and
stories.
track mark,
I've lived my life,
track
all these
version, it's real obvious.
experiences.
Anyway.
And a true story is something that happened to me many years ago as a practicing attorney. I actually had a lawyer, and I got hired to defend a lawyer who got sued by his clients because he had given a Word document to the opposing counsel of a multi-million-dollar commercial transaction, who changed the instrument from being a recourse note to being a non-recourse promissory note. And the significance of that is personal liability. If it's non-recourse, there's no personal liability. And the other lawyer did that without telling anyone. They did not go back and review the document, and it was just one
That's the problem.
three-letter, and with a hyphen, non-recourse that was added. And the other lawyer admitted it. I mean, he was a crook. He was a crook. And so when a lawyer, and I know those of you in the private sector don't deal with crooks as much as lawyers do, maybe. But when you experience that, you learn from it. It was a learning moment.
Yeah.
And so I don't criticize Chuck for asking me if we approved it.
I don't criticize him.
And I didn't criticize, frankly, I didn't have any problems with giving him what we gave him without the personal comment.
I didn't have a problem with it. We discussed it in court. You weren't there that day, but they weren't substantive changes that I was proposing,
Well, but
minor edits.
my
and
follow-up-
They can still make them when they send the documents back. or
We
can
never
make them later.
approved distributing the Word document. We just approved distributing the external printout of the Word document.
I don't disagree, but that's why we're having the discussion
I know.
today, that,
But,
you know, ideally, at least in future, can we not also release a Word
No,
version?
I will never agree to that. I can
Let me
tell you
throw
right
in
now,
my
never.
2 cents.
Go ahead.
We've done the heavy lifting on all the
That's right.
bylaws and stuff. they're gonna still make some changes and
Yeah.
stuff, but we done the bulk of the work. And we
Agreed.
paid for the bulk of the work.
Sure.
So it shouldn't be that big an inconvenience for them, I mean, to leave it the way it is.
And one last footnote, as a practicing lawyer, a recovering lawyer, Word has an app that will convert the existing document, the external document, into a Word document. Anybody can buy it.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of different apps that can do it. You can lose key things in the conversion process, particularly formatting.
I think we've spent a lot of time discussing this in the
Yep.
court's time, and I certainly appreciate that and everything that's gone through with the 391 Commission. Unfortunately, this is a natural requirement to make sure that we are covered in sharing information, and this information is gonna come back to us, right? So I think we still need to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
And-
I'll make a motion that this court approve the release of Word versions of PDFs or of documents prepared by our outside counsel,
And I will
once
second.
approved by this court. I want to be very clear. When the document is approved, that if need be, we can share a Word version of it to facilitate further.
Anything that's approved by this court is law.
Yep.
It goes.
So that's a motion.
A second.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second
Yep.
to approve the release of Word documents by the court if specifically approved by the court?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes. Sometimes we're a little inconsistent as a court on what we discuss without a motion. So I think we need, we discussed this at length. So which way are we gonna do it? Are we gonna wait to discuss things till there's a motion, or, because sometimes, you've seen it, we've all
Yeah,
seen it.
you're right.
So
We did.
I don't care what we do, which way we go, but let's be consistent.
I just want court approval. As long as we have that requirement, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm okay either way as well, but whatever.
We'll be disciplined in our approach to your point, yes.
Well, we've solved the age-old riddle of how many angels dance on the head of a pin. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I'm against it. I just want to do it by law.
Well, the only reason I'm saying aye is because he's saying after it's court approved.
Well, I understand that.
So, and in the future, when we approve documents for release, I'll make a point of adding in language, including both PDF and Word versions.
Motion carries. Item 1.25. And I put this on the agenda because I got an inquiry about the county goals for this coming year. And I thought, rather than me speaking as one voice, I'm talking about my goals. If you left it up to me, my goal would be put Charlie Hastings in charge of all these projects we have going. But we'll come back to visit that one as we talk about this. But this is input from the court as to what do we want our goals to be for the coming year. And just to give you an idea of the things that I brought to the attention of the person asking me, I mentioned things such as the construction and renovation projects for the Youth Event Center that you're working on, of the animal control, the animal services facility that you're working on, the KCSO and what they're working on, of the 550 Earl Garrett and the transition for the adult probation office, and the repurposing of that second floor, which is a major undertaking. I put on there the ISD land swap that we've just been talking about today, getting that wrapped up. I mentioned that we're working on litigation with the Dark Skies subdivision east of the airport, which is a major item. And also how to finance that, because what's going to happen is at the end of the day, there will be some sort of condemnation, eminent domain action that is taken to take that property, but you still have to pay the owner for the value of it. And the owners of the airport are the city and the county 50-50, and we're going to have to come up with our 50% share. And those funds are not in the budget, by the way. So that's a goal for the year. We're going to have to figure out what to do about that.
They do get reimbursed, though.
Yes, but it's about a 2 or 3 year process.
understand, yep.
So we have to have short-term financing in order to be able to do it.
Correct.
That was the issue there. And I talked about Megacrete, and they've got a permit pending before the TCEQ, a very extensive permit. And whether or not if the permit is approved, then they're talking about trying to break ground and complete the facility maybe by the end of the year, which will have a huge impact on the sales tax that comes to the county. And then the thing that and I talked about the 391 Commission, trying to get that done with at least one county, maybe more, in addition to us. And I indicated that we would probably be looking at possible election challenges and making sure we've got the election process shored up even better than it is today. These are just goals, to make sure that we do that. And then the one that I finished with, just to bring everybody up to speed, I think we've got an existential threat to the survival of Kerr County. And I say that very dramatically because I believe it to be true. What the legislature did 2 years ago in changing just a few words in the local government code to make lots greater than 10 acres, or what the developers call the 10.01 acre loophole, removes them from any type of county oversight or supervision and exempts them from being subject to the subdivision rules of the county. And what we're seeing in West Kerr County right now is a subdivision that's not a subdivision. They sell them off as 10-plus acre tracts on caliche roads, and it's already chaos out there. And I can see my road and bridge already. She knows what I'm talking about. It's just chaos. And we've got to go back to the legislature as one member of a corporate body of counties and local governments and petition the legislature during this legislative session to change it back so that there will be some sort of county oversight in development in the counties and not just exempt it at 10.01 acres and make it a free-for-all out there. And this is something that I believe in passionately to my dying breath. We have to get some sort of input back over development in the rural part of the counties.
Let me piggyback on what you just said, because that's the notes I put down. Water issues and developments, they all kind of go hand in hand. And following up on what you said, I reached out to Peter Flores, our state senator, and he's sponsoring a bill, I can't tell you the number, that would put the teeth back in to what they took away.
He's been very cooperative.
Yes, and so I urge all of you out here, listening at home, and you from the media, we need your help. Wes Verdell and Peter Flores need to hear from you. These concerns affect all of us in Kerr County, the water issues, and when they can. Right now, it's the Wild West out there. What these developers can do. I was at a extension deal a couple months ago, and they had a conference, and they had somebody come in and give us legislative updates.
Yep.
And you were
We
there.
attended that.
Yeah. And what surprised me, the the largest lobby in Austin right now is the fireworks lobby, which surprised you and me
Yeah,
both,
we
I'm
both-
sure. And the second was the lobbyists. So,
You
those
mean like
lobbyists
the
are
developer
spending lots of
lobbyists?
money in Austin to get their way.
It's the developer lobbyist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the developers.
Just to dovetail with you, we're talking about these multi-million billionaires out there that are buying thousands and thousands of acres and cutting it up however they want to without any input from the county. And one of the things that breaks my heart is, and the public needs to know this, Kerr County has the unique distinction of being the first county out of 254 counties in the state of Texas that had all paved county roads. And when I came on this court, we just started a 10-year program to maintain, go in and resurface all of our paved roads, which we're very proud of. And what that did to our property values, those of you that own property in this county know, you can drive to your front gate on a paved highway in Kerr County. And this is being flushed down the toilet by the moneyed interest in Austin.
I get calls Charlie and then get calls, people asking, well, what's going on out here? We have no clue, because they don't have to go through Charlie's office anymore. And that's kind of a travesty. And it affects all of us. We all have these big concerns about water issues and stuff. And then everybody moves here and they want to close the gate behind them, not take any more. But that's what we're fighting. So our representatives need to hear from y'all. Give us some help. And not all at one time. And
When you talk about goals, that falls in line with one of my goals, and that is to work on these rules, even at a legislative level. And Charlie and I have already visited
You're talking about the subdivision regulations.
all of it, water, subdivision, and I appreciate you putting me on. I'm not sure why Headwaters and Upper Guadalupe.
Who's gonna be the most effective working with them?
Yeah,
That's what we need to know.
but I love working with all those folks already, and you talked at a meeting about 2 years ago over at Headwaters about being boots and suspenders, and I think that's what adds that to it now. I think
Belts.
you've accomplished that.
Belt
Belt and suspenders, yeah, I've
We're doing it
always
two
wear
ways.
boots, right.
We're gonna fix it 2 ways, not just one.
Right,
Belts and suspenders.
and I think what you've done helps accomplish that goal, by having me as a liaison with them, because now I can be the tie in the bridge with Charlie and all of us. Him and I've already visited some about looking at the legislative changes 2 years ago, because there's a point where our rules need to reflect that. And he's in hopes that they're going to change it back, and maybe they will, so we may have to wait until we get a final hearing from this legislation. But if we don't, then we need our county rules to reflect what the rules are gonna be. And so we need to be working on that. I think most of that is pretty simple stuff that can be done in-house for the most part, and then just have them reviewed by an attorney, not having to have the attorney rewrite everything. And so I think it'll save us a significant amount of money on attorney fees. I realize the last rewrite y'all did was a pretty major hit, because it hadn't been done, since '07?
'07.
And so that was a monster change, but I think we need to stay updated on all that. So that's one of my main goals, is to keep us up to date with that, working with Charlie and the other agencies that we have here. But they are destroying Kerr County. State rules, the water, the way they're changing all that up. Simple things, little subdivision things that make common sense. When they're already on public water service, and because I just had a call from one of those this week, already on public water service, but it's gonna trigger the model subdivision, doesn't make sense. We have to find a way to accommodate those simple things, right? Without saying now you've gotta go do a water availability study and spend $8,000 or $10,000 to do that. It just doesn't make sense. So we do have some work to do on rules. A lot of it through legislation.
Just one comment from my new seat. Thank you for the goals for 2025. I think
Well,
it's
we just want to accomplish what's on our plate.
Yes, sir.
Right.
With that, it does kind of form a master plan for our county to execute. You already have people that are willing to work and take those liaison appointments, and then we have a budget and resources that goes behind it. My only ask is this get codified in a written format. These are the goals, these are the resources being applied, these are what we're going to do, and more importantly, your intent, the court's intent behind each of these goals that are in there and how we accomplish that. So we can measure that progress over time, because it takes years to surface roads, right? And it takes money to do that. And in each of that, your very last point that you talked about, which is development and water and how we do that, it's gonna take a while to change and influence the state court, but that is our intent to do it. Now we have to really figure out in a master plan the how behind it and apply all that. And I'm happy to help draft pen to paper. I like writing master plans for whatever weird reason, but this is the core of it right here, so thank you.
Well, we want to accomplish what we've undertaken.
Right.
The things that we've committed to do, we need to finish successfully. And we got a lot of things going on. It's gonna be a busy year. And the first things that I mentioned, the projects, I believe passionately in each one of those. But the last one that I talked about with regard to the development and the existential threat to our existence in Kerr County, I'm mad as hell. And I'm telling you, I'm mad about it, and I don't apologize for it. And whatever we have to do in Austin, I'm prepared to take my boot off and bang it on the bench, just like Nikita Khrushchev did at the UN. This has to change.
Right.
One thing I would add is, I hope that this court will get through the budget process this year, and last year, we had a really good process. I thank you for your leadership on that.
Last
But
comment.
our goal.
No, I'm sorry, I thought you were done. You
No,
took a
I'm
breath.
never done.
He took a
You're gonna learn.
breath.
You're gonna learn.
I've been watching,
You gotta wonder. But I hope our goal is to have a no new revenue tax rate again, to freeze taxes for our taxpayers who haven't reached the age of 65 and frozen taxes. So I'm hoping we'll be able to do it again.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
I didn't put that down here.
And I'd like to, I take your point about the airport eminent domain and probably having to secure some form of loan.
We're probably
for
gonna do
that.
it.
So, but obviously I want to minimize any new debt. I really don't want to do that if we don't have to, but if we do, we do.
So the public understands, I didn't go into a lot of detail about these, but with regard to the condemnation of eminent domain action, TxDOT reimburses us on that. We have a matching grant with them, they'll reimburse us, but it's a 2 to 3 year period. The ideal way to finance that is what we did when we bought the properties on Earl Garrett and over off Spur 100, is to use a tax anticipation note.
Yep.
And we can do that fairly economically. The one that we did back then, we borrowed $2.55 million at 0.75% interest.
Am I going to get that deal again?
What a deal, what a deal. But we can finance this for 2 or 3 years that it takes to get the reimbursement. But in visiting with Dalton Rice, the city manager, he asked me, he says, Judge, have you got the money for whatever, if we settle it on this dark skies lawsuit, if we settle the lawsuit, have we got the money? And he looked at me and said, no.
Well,
So I put it, it's a priority, we gotta have a goal, figure out how to get it.
Right.
And it won't be too difficult.
we always have a reserve fund. Granted, we don't want to tap that thing.
It's not-
We already are tapping it big time this year anyway, but anyway, we'll find a way.
They're asking $4.5 million in our half that we do not have in our reserve.
ACOG, are they gonna be involved when you talk about legislative change? You're the head of ACOG this year, right?
Just handed the gavel to somebody else.
Who is it, by the way?
Mayor Dennis.
Do you know if they're gonna be helping in legislative changes? Are they working towards any of that?
I'll find out on Wednesday, we have our executive committee meeting in San Antonio at 10:30, so
Okay.
I'll report back.
Good.
But they're a good one to get involved.
Right, right, absolutely.
Okay, anything else on, that was an information item. So,
Well, is the plan to kind of take these comments and put together something a little bit more
I think that's a good
formal
idea.
structured? I
We don't
like
have an
it.
action item on this agenda, but
No, but
I would try any effort to put it together and sit down and visit with you on some of the details of some of this stuff.
that'll be good.
And that's Tap Out, by the way. Once I talk to him about this, then I can't talk to you about this. Okay, let's move on to the approval agenda. Item 2.1, budget amendments.
Good morning. You have before you 5 budget amendments. 2 of them are for the new SO grants that we've received. A couple of them are line item adjustments, and one is truing up for a fund balance that was existing that we didn't know about at the end of the year.
I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the budget amendments as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. 2.2, pay the bills.
Yes, invoices for today's consideration, $1,062,408.16.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to pay the bills as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2.3, late bills.
There are not any.
2.4, auditor reports.
The only report is just a verbal report that the county's audit will begin next week.
And
For
what
the
that
prior
is-
fiscal year, it's an annual event.
They'll be headquartered here in this courtroom. Just so everybody knows, you're gonna have to walk around them for about a week. Okay, moving on to item 2.5, accept monthly reports.
Yes, for November 2024, Treasurer's Report, Tracy Sullivan, County Treasurer, Auditor's Office, Tanya Shelton, County Auditor. December 2024 Payroll Report, Tracy Sullivan, County Treasurer. County Clerk, Nadine Alford, County Clerk. Constables, Tommy Rodriguez, Precinct 1. Kyle Snyder, Precinct 2. Paul Gonzalez, Precinct 3. Brad Ryder, Precinct 4. Racial Profiling Report, Constable Tommy Rodriguez, Precinct 1. Justice of the Peace, Judge J.R. Horn, Precinct 2. Judge Kathy Mitchell, Precinct 3. Judge Bill Ragsdale, Precinct 4. Environmental Health and Animal Services, Director Reagan Gibbons. Environmental Health, OSSF, Director Ashley Batters. District Clerk Dawn Lance, District Clerk. I move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the monthly reports as presented. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2.6, court orders. Commissioner Letts has left that to me, and I have worked with the boss on these orders and reviewed them, and I find them to be in order. And I will make a motion to approve the court orders as presented, which include the December 23 court orders number 41034 through 4108, and the January 1 court order 41059 to 41061.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Information agenda. Do we have any department heads? Mr. Tennis.
Good morning, Corey Tennis, IT Director. Welcome to the new commissioners, and thank you for the shout out to my department for getting you guys all squared away. I know the quarterly reports from the directors doesn't start until next meeting, but if I waited until my turn, I'd be up here for half an hour. I don't think we want to sit here that long, so I'm just going to kind of try and do a quick run through of the stuff that we have accomplished here in the last quarter. To begin with, our office remodel is complete, and we are settled in there and doing well. We've also completely revamped the AV system here within the courtroom. We are still fine-tuning some of the little bugs that are coming, but we're actually making some pretty good progress there. We've also upgraded all the firewall routers throughout our county, enhancing our security. We've also implemented a new cyber training program, the KnowBe4 program. The metrics on that coming back are very positive. We are moving the right direction with our human cybersecurity, and I'm hoping in May I can actually present a good metrics of where we've been to where we are going. Also last week we started the annual state requirement for cybersecurity training. That is also through the KnowBe4, so that is a legit 30-minute training, and this morning I looked, we are already at 43% complete for the county. So good progress there. We've also installed some backup servers at an off-site location for network survivability. We replaced the majority of our radio comms from our central communication point to all of our distant locations, ensuring if somebody digs a hole in the ground, cuts the wrong fiber, we can still operate even at a reduced capacity, but we're still working forward for that. Throughout the county, we've also replaced approximately 60 desktops and laptops, as well as 60 different monitors. This includes the district attorney's offices, adult probation, the airport, various offices within the sheriff's office, and within the courthouse. Some of these workstations take anywhere up to 6 hours or more to replace, but typically it's a 2-hour process to swap out a computer. The majority of them have been older units, but some of them have been catastrophic failures. Again, more older equipment, but we are making progress there for modernization. And then we've also closed out over 800 different trouble tickets since the end of September. And that does not include all of the emergency phone calls we get on a daily basis on, hey, my job has stopped, I need immediate fixes. So those are the things that my team has accomplished in the last 3 months. Ongoing, we're in the latter stages of our Active Directory build. We had a late last minute pause, middle of last week. We were supposed to make the migration happen this coming weekend, but that now will happen in late March, early April. Part of the reason for that delay is our new move to the SAS Navigator Enterprise Justice System. We had our kickoff meeting for that last week. We were hoping to actually have that done by early March. I'm waiting for the project managers to figure out just how much we can collapse that schedule to get that completed, so that way we can complete our Active Directory project and then also move on to our Office 365 move. So that piece is probably May, June timeframe. I've got meetings this week with a vendor for multi-factor authentication and enhanced endpoint detection and response, securing our network there. We've also replaced high-capacity network antennas in the show barn, and from what I have heard from last week, nobody was complaining about IT bandwidth problems at the show barn, even though we had external influences trying to slow down our progress, but we've managed to overcome that. And then this week, we're also going to put in some access points out at the Riverstar Park to hopefully help with the low bandwidth capacity we have there, especially considering the Renaissance Festival is kicking off this weekend. So those are our ongoing stuff. And a couple of quick hits for upcoming this calendar year. We will be moving to the new Encode 10 system, which captures all of our finance, timekeeping type stuff. We are still working to reorganize and redesignate how we do our data storage on site. One of the other things that I have also reached out to the city leaders about is doing a cyber response tabletop exercise to inform all the leaders within the county of how we are to respond should we ever be exposed to a cyber incident. We will be bringing in FBI agents and CISA agents to help facilitate that conversation, and we're looking to do that sometime in mid-March. And then I also talked about our conversion to Office 365 this late spring, early summer. That is all I have for today. Any questions?
Thanks for the report. This is what we need to know. We can be kept in the loop.
Thank you.
Any other department heads? Let's move on to 3.2, status reports from elected officials. Sheriff?
Yeah. You have to say, I got to take my hat off to Corey. He's done a pretty good job. We bumped head a couple of times, but we're working stuff out. But we had a meeting last week on the cybersecurity. It is very important. We talked about, and I think it's going to work good moving forward. What I would like to do is give a status report to the court and the public on KCSO, especially with our two new commissioners. What I'm proud to say and happy is we entered 2025 full. In October of 2023, I had 13 first responders opening, which are deputies, jailers, and dispatchers. I entered January of 24 full, but this last year kind of had some up and down, but we are full. We're very young on patrol. Nowadays, they're just getting younger and younger. What I am happy to say, this morning I swore in like I told you, I swore in a veteran officer with SAPD 10 years experience. That doesn't happen very often. Proud to say that is the son of Ken and Lucy Wilkie. But actually he went to work today. This guy took a pretty decent pay cut to come here, but he was able to figure things out. But I'm really proud to be able to hire somebody like that, you know what I mean? My administration staff are really happy. I think we put together a really great team for 2025 and moving forward, but like I said, I'll just continue to keep the court updated. Thank y'all for what y'all done.
Thank you. No. 3.3, status reports from liaison commissioners. Any reports?
I'll just tell you, I attended the CARFA meeting last week, and, volunteer fire departments are commencing or finalizing the new radio system. And about half of them have the new radios up and running. So they're still working on it. Hopefully, by the end of February, everybody will have the new radios, or at least what has been provided to them. Then they have to make the decision whether they get all the handhelds for all of their volunteer firefighters or not, because certainly the county didn't fund that.
Okay, good. Anything else? Nothing from the new guys? Okay. We have an executive session posted, but we don't have any items to take on the executive session. But I wanted to make a couple of comments for the benefit of the public and the new members of the court. You're going to get to know Heather a lot better. But I can tell you that when we put any item on the agenda, it has to be sufficient to identify what it is we're really doing, what it is we're really talking about, and especially in executive session. And when you put on executive session a personnel matter, as a general rule, that's not enough. And this discussion came up last week because the airport board had a meeting, and they put on their personnel consultation, and I visited with Heather, I visited with Chuck, and we're all in agreement. I visited with Mike Hayes indirectly through Dalton. You got to say more than just personnel matter. That's not enough. The public has to be on notice what it is that we're really doing. And so, and the corollary is, if it's not on the agenda and identified sufficiently for the public to know what we're going to do, then we can't take any action on that. And you heard us talk a couple times today. It's just code. So it's not on the agenda. We can't do it. And when I fail to remember that, or one of us does, we are gently reminded from the left side of the room that it needs to be on the agenda before we can take action. And the other thing that I would remind the public about, when we go into executive session, what we say in executive session stays in executive session. And I know that sometimes the press, and I'm not criticizing, but sometimes they're eager to know what we talked about. Well, we can't tell you. Or as my son that was in the Navy, was a nuclear engineer on a submarine, said, I can tell you that, but I'd have to kill you, you know.
Right.
What happens in executive session stays in executive session. And that is particularly true on attorney-client matters. And if you look at our agenda, we've got 4.1 on there, which is consultation with the attorney. And it's a statutory provision that we put on there. Because we have to have the attorney's input to make sure that we're coloring between the lines. And if she says we're not coloring between the lines, we don't run out and call Fluffy and say, hey, we're not coloring between the lines, we're going to fix it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to address what it is that needs to be done. And when we talk to attorneys, we don't quote that to other parties in contract negotiations, other parties that we're working with, other entities. I don't call up Dalton Rice or Mike Hayes over at the city and tell them, hey, this is what our attorney said. And when we went through some litigation over that accident a few years back, there were a number of times that Heather and I sat there in my office or her office and looked at one another like, we're not saying anything. Because it was confidential. And some things are meant to be confidential. And I just say that we don't have an executive session agenda today, but as we get started, you'll learn these are kind of our hard and fast rules that we have to follow, and when we don't, we're very gently reminded. So with that, court will be adjourned.